So today is a special day. It is the disappearance of Jayananda Prabhu. He's a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, early disciple. And of course, people celebrate other people's birthdays, but within the Vaishnava tradition, there's also the principle of celebrating the time somebody actually leaves, which most people don't celebrate that, but the examples given of like the rising and the setting of the sun, they're both very beautiful. So the appearance of a great personality and the disappearance is also beautiful. So we usually sing this song on these disappearance days. This is Saparshada Bhagavad Viraha Janita Vilapa, lamentation due to separation from the Lord and His associates. So it's a song of separation. So we'll just sing that song. And then it is also the appearance day of Rukmini. Krishna is one of Krishna's wives. So we'll just sing that song, and then I'll read the English translation. And then we could discuss Jayananda Prabhu a little bit. And also the Bhagavatam. Jayanila Premadana Karuna Pracho Jayanila Premadana Karuna Pracho Ena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Ena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Kahamora Saruprupa Kaha Sanatam Kada Saragunata Patita Pavan Kahamora Bhata Yuga Kaha Kaviraj Eka Kale Kota Kela Goranataraj Ashane Kotiba Mata Annale Pashiba Gauranga Gunera Nidhi Kotagele Paba Se Sabha Sangira Sangye Koilo Vilas Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamada Jaya Nila Prema Dana Karuna Pracho Ena Prabhu Kota Gela Acharya Thakur Translation. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who is filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivas Acharya gone? Where are my Sarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where are my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against a rock and enter into fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. So we'll just start. These are reflections on Jayananda Prabhu, who's disciple of Srila Prabhupada, from Gunagrahi Das Goswami on October 2009. He's remembering him. I loved Jayananda Prabhu's association. Around 1975, when I was the temple president in San Diego, I needed to take a break, so I went to join one of the Radha Damodar bus parties. I thought I would try Guru Das's bus in Oregon, but he, along with Parivrajacharya Maharaj, left the party, and when I went up there, to my surprise, Jayananda Prabhu was the Sankirtan leader. I was amazed by Jayananda Prabhu's attitude. He would always clean up after all the young men, and was constantly serving them. He was very kind to everybody, very compassionate, and enthusiastic about every service he rendered. He never found fault with anyone and never complained about anything or anybody. They have a saying, nobody likes a complainer. You hear that one? Anyways, he wouldn't complain about anything or anybody. That's pretty high. That's rare, actually.
Especially when you're cleaning up after them.
Yeah. We would all go out on book distribution every day. Jayananda was not only the Sankirtan leader, but also the driver of the van. One day I was the last to get out and was sitting with him, talking for a while before leaving. He took out a big bowl of halava and began eating and eating. Apparently he liked peanut butter halva. The best, the most. Then he said to me, I always get a little nervous before I go out on Sankirtan, and this halva really calms me down and relaxes me. I really love this halva. It was very sweet to see how he so unabashedly took shelter of prasadam. The same day, I was the first to get picked up, and again Jayananda and I spent some time talking. He confided in me, you know, this Sankirtan is just so wonderful, so enlivening. It is the most enlivening thing I've ever experienced. I have finally found a service I can see myself doing for the rest of my life. I was really struck by that because he was older, very mature, and qualified in so many ways. He could have assumed any number of leadership positions, but was completely happy serving Prabhupada by living a simple life, preaching alongside the brahmacharis, and helping them grow in spiritual life. One weekend afternoon, while in Eugene doing Sankirtan, one of the devotees heard that there was a mind-body-spirit festival going on and informed us all when he returned to the bus. Although the festival was due to wind down soon, when Jayananda heard the news, he immediately lit up and sprang into action. Quick, we need to make lots of sweet balls and distribute prasadam to everybody. I remember thinking as we mixed, mashed, and mushed together all the ingredients for the sweet balls, that I had never in my life seen so many opulent ingredients in one preparation. So these are the ingredients, some of the ingredients. They're making these prasadam, they're going to offer them and then distribute them. So you could try making something like this if you want. Cream cheese and walnuts and dates and almonds and figs and dried pineapple and dried papaya. And the devotees became really enthusiastic about seeing the sweet balls take shape and were rolling them frantically to get them finished before the festival ended. Finally, we had a few hundred made, offered them, and then sped off. The festival was in a big gymnasium, and I had just begun to wind down when we got there. It had just begun to wind down when we got there. I felt a little intimidated by all the stares as we walked in, but had not even a minute to wallow in my fears before I heard the next command from our Sankirtan general. Okay, Prabhus, Harinam, follow me. Jayananda then started chanting and dancing with the greatest enthusiasm, and we all found ourselves swept up right behind him. We circumambulated along the perimeter of the gym where the booths were set up, and Jayananda was chanting and dancing like a madman. The sweet balls were going out as fast as we could distribute them, and all the people who moments before were looking at us like, who the heck are these guys, began chanting and dancing along with us. I still remember the smiles on their faces as many of them joined our transcendental parade. It was an experience to behold and one that I often remember. In just a few minutes, Jayananda had completely transformed that gymnasium into the spiritual world and given everyone a taste of the spiritual realm they had spent all day long futilely, what is it? Futilely trying to grasp. Either later that year or during the next year, we found out that Jayananda had cancer and had been receiving various allopathic treatments. However, they were not helping very much. He was averse to spending so much money on them, and most important, they were affecting his ability to think clearly and meditate on Krishna. Thus, he decided to try a natural cure and found out that in Tijuana, Mexico, right across the border from San Diego, there was a facility that administered one with considerable success. Bhajanarayan Swami, he went down there and visited him as well, Jayananda Prabhu, when he was there in Tijuana, because he was here at that time. Bhajanarayan Swami's been here for many years. I don't know, 40 years or something since, something like that. We helped Jayananda Prabhu get set up in the clinic, and I started going down weekly to see him. On my first visit, I saw he was really ecstatic. He said, "This is fantastic. I'm reading the Bhagavad-gita daily. I've never been able to absorb myself as much as I can now. I'm getting so many realizations, and every day I give classes to the other patients. I'm so enlivened. I've never done anything like this before. It has given me so much life. Plus, the trio seems to be helping, so I am really satisfied being here. The following week I returned, but this time when I asked him how things were going, he said, "I'm leaving, let's get out of here." Surprised at the drastic change, I asked him what had happened. He said, "They told me I couldn't give classes anymore, that it was against their rules to preach the Bhagavad-gita or teach religion of any kind." He continued, "What's the use of being here if I can't preach? What's the use of living if I can't preach? Let's go." I was amazed, truly amazed. I had never seen him so grave and determined, and while on one hand I was extremely disappointed at the turn of events, I became very much enlivened to witness the fearlessness, detachment, and utter resolve of this great devotee who wanted nothing more than to live the rest of his life preaching, no matter how short a time that might wind up being. Jayananda Prabhu had already packed his belongings, and we immediately headed back to San Diego. He remained there for a while, giving classes and constantly commenting on how amazing the Bhagavad-gita was and how many realizations one could get by reading it. After a few weeks, he decided to go to Los Angeles, as his health had started deteriorating again, and he would get much better attention and facilities there, and have much more senior association. I continued to meditate on Jayananda Prabhu quite often, especially when in need of the tolerance, enthusiasm, and compassion necessary to push on and to please Srila Prabhupada the way I know he always did. So that ends it. There's these letters that actually Srila Prabhupada wrote Jayananda Prabhu, and he also wrote another devotee, Rameshwara Prabhu. So I'll just read it. There's a few excerpts from those letters. The following letters were written by Srila Prabhupada shortly before and after Jayananda's death. To Jayananda Das, February 26, 1977. This is Prabhupada writing. "This body is today or tomorrow finished. We should not be very much bothered about the body." So he has cancer at this particular time. Jayananda. Trees also live for thousands of years, but that doesn't mean a successful life. A successful life is one of Krishna consciousness. By the grace of Krishna, from the very beginning you are a devotee, and that is the real profit of your life. About a sadhu it is said, "Jiva va madhava." A sadhu may live or die. A saintly person may live or die. It doesn't matter. While living, he is engaged in Krishna conscious business, and when dying, he goes back home, back to Godhead. So another one to Jayananda, May 5th, 1977. "I'm feeling very intensely your separation. In 1967, you joined me in San Francisco. You were driving my car and chanting Hare Krishna. You were the first man to give me some contribution, $5,000, for printing my Bhagavad-gita. After that, you have rendered very valuable service to Krishna in different ways. I so hope at the time of your death you are remembering Krishna, and as such you have been promoted to the eternal association of Krishna. If not, if you had any tinge of material desire, you have gone to the celestial kingdom to live with the demigods for many thousands of years and enjoy the most opulent life of material existence. From there you can promote yourself to the spiritual world. But even if one fails to promote himself to the spiritual world at that time, he comes down again on the surface of this globe and takes birth in a big family like a yogis or a Brahmins or an aristocratic family, where there is again a chance of reviving Krishna consciousness. But as you were hearing Krishna Kirtan, I am sure that you were directly promoted to Krishna Loka. Janma karma chame divyam evam yovita tattvataha tukta deham punor janma naitimam disorja. Bhagavad-gita 4:9. Means one who, Krishna says, one who understands the nature of my appearance and activities upon leaving their body doesn't take birth again, but comes to me. Krishna says, Krishna has done a great favor for you not to continue your diseased body and has given you a suitable place for your service. Thank you very much. This one's to Rameshwara, May 11th, 1977. Prabhupada was very happy with him. Jayananda's death is glorious. It is very good that he had stated, what is the use of such a useless body? Better give it up. He has left his body very wonderfully, and he has been transferred to the spiritual world. I have already sent a condolence letter for publication and back to Godhead. Everyone should follow the example of Jayananda, and I am very proud that I had such a nice disciple. If possible, Jayananda's picture should be hung in the Rath of Lord Jagannath, because he was the devotee who would build these Rath Yatra carts. And for the big festivals, the Rath Yatra festivals. So Prabhupada said you should put his picture there on the cart. So when devotees are pulling these carts in the parade, his picture's there. All over the world, actually, they do that. Prabhupada wanted that. In all of our temples, a day may be set aside for holding a festival in his honor, just as we do on the disappearance day of other great Vaishnavas. So, there's many articles and remembrances and books actually written about him. And he also, through his example, inspired so many devotees. Actually, one devotee, I think it's your spiritual master Jayapataka Swami. It's Ramapati Prabhu here. His spiritual master, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami. He was in San Francisco before becoming Jayapataka Swami. He was there, and he met Jayananda Prabhu, and Jayananda said, "Help me make this cart." So Jayapataka Swami helped Jayananda Prabhu make the cart, and then Jayananda Prabhu was giving him, prasadam and preaching to him. And in this way, Jayananda Prabhu helped and Jayapataka Swami becoming a devotee. At least this the pastime, right? And Jayapataka Swami, it was a really good person to make a devotee because he's done so much service over the years for Srila Prabhupada. And that's one devotee, so many, actually. So he's a very special, rare soul. And also devotees, there's a book called Radha Damodar Vilas by Vyasaki. And it's a book about Jayananda Prabhu and also Vishnu Jan Swami. And also throughout the ISKCON world, there's lots of articles being circulated and lectures and so on. So devotees want to hear about him more. There's a lot of opportunity. All right, so we'll discuss the Bhagavatam a little bit. Can you pass me the book, please? Yeah. So if everybody could please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're starting a new chapter, chapter 18 of the 5th canto. Canto 5, the creative impetus. Chapter 18, the residents of Jambudweep offer prayers. So we'll read the summary of the chapter. In this chapter, Shukadeva Goswami describes the different varshas of Jambudweep and the incarnation of the Supreme Lord worshipped in each. So, Canto 5, Chapter 18. The predominating ruler of Bhadrashva Varsha is Bhadrashva, and he and his many servants always worship the incarnation known as Lord Hayagriva. At the end of each kalpa, when the demon Ajnana steals the Vedic knowledge, Lord Hayagriva appears and preserves it. Then he delivers it to Lord Brahma. In the land known as Harivarsha, the exalted devotee Prahlad Maharaj worships Lord Nrsingadev. The appearance of Nrsingadev is described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Following the footsteps of Prahlad Maharaj, the inhabitants of Harivarsha always worship Lord Nrsingadev to receive from him the benediction of being engaged in his loving service. In the tract of land known as Kutamala Varsha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishikesh, appears in the form of Cupid. The goddess of fortune and the demigods living there engage in his service day and night. Manifesting himself in 16 parts, Lord Rishikesh is the source of all encouragement. strength, and influence. The conditioned living entity has the defect of being always fearful, but simply by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can rid himself of this defect of material life. Therefore, the Lord alone can be addressed as Master. In the tract of land known as Ramyaka Varsha, Manu and all the inhabitants worship Matsyadev to this very day. Matsyadev, whose form is pure goodness, is the ruler and maintainer of the whole universe, and as such he is the director of all the demigods, headed by King Indra. In Hiranmaya Varsha, Lord Vishnu has assumed the form of a tortoise, Karma Murti, and is worshipped there by Aryama, along with all the other residents. Similarly, in the tract of land known as Uttarakuru Varsha, Lord Sri Hari has assumed the form of a boar. In that form, he accepts service from all the inhabitants living there. All the information in this chapter can be fully realized by one who associates with devotees of the Lord. Therefore, in the Shastras, it is recommended that one associate with devotees. This is better than residing on the banks of the Ganges. In the hearts of pure devotees reside all good sentiments, as well as all superior qualities of the demigods. In the hearts of non-devotees, however, there cannot be any good qualities, for such people are simply enchanted by the external illusory energy of the Lord. Following in the footsteps of devotees, one should know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only worshipable deity. Everyone should accept this proposal and worship the Lord, as stated in Bhagavad-gita 15:15, vedaiś sarvair, aham vedyaḥ. The purpose of studying all Vedic literature is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. If after studying all Vedic literature, one does not awaken his dormant love for the Supreme Lord, it is to be understood that he has labored for nothing. He has simply wasted his time. Lacking attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he remains attached to family life in this material world. Thus, the lesson of this chapter is that one should get out of family life and completely take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, so I'll read text 1 and 2. This is a prose verse, so we're not going to chant together. Shri Shukavacha tata cha badrashava nama dharma sutasta kula pataya purusha badrashva varshe sakshad bhagavato vasudevasya priyam tunam dharmam yam hara shirshabi dhanam paramanena samadhina sanidap yedam abhigrinanta upadavanti. Sri Shukadev Goswami said, Bhadrashava, the son of Dharmaraj, rules the tract of land known as Bhadrashva Varsha. Just as Lord Shiva worships Sankarshan and Ilavrita Varsha, Bhadrashva, accompanied by his intimate servants and all the residents of the land, worships the plenary expansion of Vasudev, known as Harishirsha. Lord Harishirsha is very dear to the devotees, and he is the director of all religious principles. Fixed in the topmost trance, Bhadrashva and his associates offer their respectful obeisances to the Lord and chant the following prayers with careful pronunciation. Bhadrashva Uchu Om Namo Bhagavate Dharmatma Vishodhanaya Nama Iti. The ruler Bhadrashva and his intimate associates utter the following prayer. We offer our respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all religious principles, who cleanses the heart of the conditioned soul in this material world. Again and again we offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Purport. Foolish materialistic persons do not know how they are being controlled and punished at every step by the laws of nature. They think that they are very happy in the conditioned stage of material life, not knowing the purpose of repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. Therefore, in Bhagavad-gita 7:15, Lord Krishna describes such materialistic persons as mudhas, rascals. Namam duskritina mudha prapadyante naradama. These mudhas do not know that if they want to purify themselves, they must worship Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, by performing penances and austerities. This purification is the aim of human life. Thus, this life is not meant for blind indulgence and sense gratification. In the human form, the living being must engage himself in Krishna consciousness to purify his existence. Tapo devyam putraka yena sattam shuddya. This is the instruction of King Rishabhadev to his sons. In the human form of life, one must undergo all kinds of austerities to purify his existence. Yasmad brahmasaukyam tvanantam. We are all seeking happiness, but because of our ignorance and foolishness, we cannot know what unobstructed happiness really is. Unobstructed happiness is called Brahmasaukya, spiritual happiness. Although we may get some so-called happiness in this material world, that happiness is temporary. The foolish materialists cannot understand this. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj points out, Maya Sukhaya Baram Udvahato Vimudhan. Merely for temporary materialistic happiness, these rascals are making huge arrangements, and thus they are baffled life after life. Om Ganati Vidandasya Gananjano Shalakaya Chakshulan Meditamyana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Kridavachalam Pangam Langai Tegadim Yakipatamaham Bande Shri Gurundir Saranam Pancha Kapadri Vishya Kripasindebe Vicha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So last night we were discussing in the Krishna Lounge how people are, you could say, putting on a show. And they're putting on a mask, not in the sense of a mask for COVID purposes, but a mask of trying to disguise what's really going on within them. Because they say that the face is the index of the mind. Means what's going on in the mind will show on the face. But people, there may be something going on in the mind, but then if we try to put on a mask to disguise what's going on in the mind, put on a show. So we were talking about that and how, for example, like in Los Angeles, they have this UCLA. It's a big, some bit of a prestigious college. Not the most prestigious college, but it's respectable, right, to a degree. Better Berkeley or better Harvard or whatever, but it's okay, UCLA. But apparently they created this whole parking lot for students to live in their cars. So they're going to this big college, but they're all living in their car. Or so many of them living in their cars, which is just I don't know if anybody's lived in a car here, but it's very uncomfortable. Deplorable state, actually. Or I was mentioning also in Italy, people, designer clothing, but they're poverty-stricken, could hardly eat. They can't eat properly. But still, okay, let me wear designer clothing, put on a show, right? So this, you could say, is pointing at the dishonesty or the insincerity of the conditioned soul, because if they're there's a saying that one who lies has short legs. This is a saying from Croatia. Could anybody guess why that is? What do you think, Tyler? No offense to people with short legs. Whatever that means. It means it means they can't run, yeah. Eventually they get caught. Because you lie about this, and then in order for that thing you lied about to be true, you got to lie about something else. And eventually people are like, man, this guy's just lying, So devotees of Krishna, they're honest, they're straightforward in their dealings. They're not like lying or putting on some show or something like that. They're just straightforward, honest. Yeah, and that's important thing to maintain, because much of people's concepts of religion were like, people are like, I hate religion. I hate the Christians, I hate the Muslims, I hate the Hindus, I hate anybody who's in religion, because they're a bunch of hypocrites and they're a bunch of liars and they're just putting on a show. Like I was talking with some guest last night. They had a lot of questions. It's like, I don't know, an hour or an hour and a half, something like that, maybe 2 hours, but there's a lot of questions. And they could have kept on going too, but it was getting late, 10:30 or something. So if I'm looking a little tired, then that's why. But so one of the questions was that, or one of the things that was being brought up was that they're mentioning how, oh yeah, and I went to church and I saw these people very enthusiastic and whatever. It could have been a temple or a mosque or whatever, but I went to church and these people were very, happy, smiling and singing and she was making the point, yeah, it just was very, she said, I was actually very put off by it. I was like, what are these people so happy about? What are they? Is it really sincere? Is it really serious? Or are they just making a show? And the fact is, sometimes within religions, people do make shows. They say, oh, I'm a great whatever, and I love God, and they go home and whatever. All of their actions, aside from them sitting in church or temple or mosque, are just not good. Just not moral, not even moral, what to speak of God conscious. But then they say, make a show, I love God, right? So, so therefore, for members of ISKCON to be straightforward, to be honest, to be sincere, people like that. People are impressed by that. People are, okay, these people are humans. Sincere humans. Okay, great. Maybe I'll look more into this. So it's important. And Prabhupada mentioned this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He mentions in this cleansing of the Gundicha temple. The temple is considered, in this particular pastime, the Acharyas have explained that the temple is like the heart. And we have to have a clean heart in order to invite Krishna there. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although this temple that he was cleaning in his pastimes was a temple, Gundicha temple. So he was sweeping and throwing water on the ceilings and really cleaning it. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that all this dirt that Lord Chaitanya cleansed from the temple is compared to be like dirt or dust within our heart. And one thing that cleansing the temple also means, if we're sweeping the floor, mopping the floor, washing the pots, whatever it may be, and this isn't just some tactic that the acharyas came up with to get people to clean. It's like, hey, this is a good tactic. We're going to tell everybody that you clean the temple and it cleanses your heart. So then we'll get more people volunteering. But it's actually a philosophical and spiritual point that's brought up, that if we cleanse the temple, it cleanses our heart. So, but in describing the dirt or the dust that needs to be removed, Srila Prabhupada explains this idea of not putting on a show or not cheating or not being straightforward. And then Srila Prabhupada comments on this, and he says that what does he say? He doesn't say criminal. He says the culprit. The culprit mind always has a tendency to be suspicious. As the Prabhupada said, very interesting. The culprit mind always has a tendency to be suspicious. Just like within relationships. It means these are not very good relationships. It means boy and girl or man and woman relationships. Of course, not all relationships, but in some relationships, there's some like suspicion there. Like, oh, are you like, are you, messing around with somebody else, or, there's some suspicion there, which ultimately a productive relationship would not have anything to do with that. There wouldn't be any suspicion, because the man would trust the woman would trust the man, and they both would be, you could say, respectable or chaste or credible in the sense that there was no suspicion. Like they say, there shouldn't be any what did it say? The wife of, the wife of, oh yeah, there's some saying that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. So, anyway, so Prabhupada says the culprit mind always has a tendency to be suspicious. So the culprit means like criminal or rascal mind, always has to be suspicious. So we're like second guessing people. Is this person like, and we're not just talking about just in relationships, but any family, friends, interacting with people, there's some second guessing going on. Some suspicion. What does this person want from me? So Srila Prabhupada says, therefore, devotees should be very straightforward in their dealings. So there's no kind of politics going on. Knowing the nature of the world, devotees should be straightforward. So whereas materialists, they're not straightforward. It's all a lie. They think, oh, I'm the material body, a lie. They think, oh, material happiness. They're convinced of all these lies. Oh, material happiness, I'm going to be... By engaging in material happiness, my pursuits to have material happiness, I'm going to be happy. It's a lie. Everything's a lie, actually. And because their whole life is based on a lie, or many lies, they also just lying to themselves, lying to others, not straightforward, cheating, backbiting. Just look at politics. It's big. Don't look at politics, actually. It's a big mess. I heard whatever. I am not. I do not. Kevin's in there. I am not. I'll get some flack later. But what are these big? Like president. There was. I think there was. What was it? The election. There was, or the debate between, I don't know, Trump and Biden or something. I heard it was a big. Them going back and forth and fighting, this and that, and I didn't watch it. I was thinking about it, but I didn't. Just to kind of see the fun, right, a little bit, but I didn't. But what is it? It's all about just kind of, pushing people down, moving up, and of course you could say maybe some of these people have some good intentions, or maybe we would agree with some of the principles they stand for, but ultimately there's some conniving going on. There has to be. Kali Yuga. So, but a devotee is straightforward. There's honest. Of course, Srila Prabhupada said also that there may be some diplomatic, sometimes in speech or so on, just to kind of, in particular cases, to keep the peace or whatever. But for the most part, a devotee's life, open book. Anyone could read. So, and again, but the materialist is just the opposite. And as time progresses, they say that there's 4 legs of religion. You remember what those are? Anyone? Truthfulness, cleanliness, austerity, mercy. So mercy, not so much mercy these days. Austerity, not so much. Cleanliness, not so much. But truthfulness, it's said the leg is wavering. Means it's still there, but it's wavering. People starting to cheat and lie more and more and more. So, and then Srila Prabhupada, so, and to be straightforward and honest, we need to sincerely engage in Krishna consciousness, because Krishna consciousness, it brings out the natural good qualities of the soul. But we have to be careful, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, we're watering this bhakti creeper. The watering is the hearing and chanting Krishna's names, etc. But then when we're watering, we also may water the weeds. And the weeds are such things as, like we're discussing, putting on a show or not being straightforward. That's just one thing. There's many things. So he says that we should guard this creeper, this devotional creeper. We should fence it off. And what do we fence it off with, or who, with? How is that? With the association of pure devotees. They protect our creeper. Because if we associate unnecessarily or too much or closely with non-devotees, they actually destroy the creeper. And then also if we commit Vaishnava aparad, that's considered to be like the elephant offense. The elephant just comes and smashes the creeper. So we have to protect it, water it. And then these natural good qualities will come out, because they're the nature of the soul. And this takes a little work. Tapodivyam, some divine austerity, rising a little earlier than we like, maybe. Like some austerity, it's, we were kind of late last night. It was late, Krishna Lounge and this and that, talking with people and guests, and then, okay, go to sleep. Okay, rise in a few hours. It's austerity. And there's other austerities also within Krishna consciousness. There's a number of austerities. But we also have to make sure that those austerities don't make our heart hard, because if we're not experiencing the happiness of Krishna consciousness, somehow or other, but we're practicing those austerities, difficulties, our heart may become a little hard. In other words, we become a little harsh with people or angry or something like that. I happened to fall upon a Yelp review about the temple, and most of them are good. Well, one of them was kind of interesting. There was someone complaining about one of the devotees kind of being harsh with them, sharp with them, not very friendly, not very nice. And then some guy responded, "Hey man, give them a little credit." He said, they're doing a lot of difficult things, they're waking up early, doing this and that. So, give them a little credit. They tend to be a little harsh sometimes because of their austerities, Which, you put pressure, you undergo some difficulty, and then, it maybe comes out in a sharp way, right? But we should try to, not that, I'm performing austerity, so therefore I have the right to do that. We should try to control, actually, so we don't get bad Yelp reviews. And we please Krishna. So, but by engaging in the hard work, tapodivyam, the divine austerity, following the principles, chanting our rounds, doing different things, then we could experience this brahmasokam, this unlimited happiness. And ultimately we could fall in love with Krishna, just like Rukmini. It's her appearance day today. And if you want to know more about Rukmini, you could go to chapter 53 of Krishna book and chapter 60, 53 and 60. And in chapter 60, there's a beautiful exchange between Rukmini and Krishna. They're discussing, actually, Krishna is giving Rukmini a hard time. They're married, and Krishna is saying, actually, you shouldn't have married me, and you should have married another king, and these are the reasons why. And then Rukmini, she's just starting to really, and Krishna's trying to make her angry. That was the whole point, because she's a very soft, delicate, humble, doesn't get angry, actually, Krishna. That wasn't her mood. So Krishna was pushing her. And then eventually, Krishna thought she was going to get angry, but then she just she starts crying, and her heart's beating really fast, and then she just falls unconscious. And then Krishna realized, I was joking with her, but she didn't take it as a joke. And actually, Krishna was telling her, it's not too late. You could separate from me now. and marry someone else. And she was just shocked because at that particular point they had like grandsons, and in Vedic culture there was no such thing actually as divorce. It's hard to believe that, but no such thing as divorce. So she was just shocked, like, and that Prabhupada says, oh, Krishna was proposing like she divorce him. So anyways, so it's very detailed. You could read about that in chapter 60. Then chapter 53 is where Krishna kidnaps Rukmini. So she was about to get married. Her brother wanted her to marry someone, but he was a demon, really. She didn't want to marry him. She wanted to marry Krishna. But she actually never met Krishna. She just heard about him. And because she heard about him so attentively, she actually fell in love with him. Means love, not a mundane thing. Means he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. She developed Krishna prema by hearing about him. And then she had a desire. Please, I want you to marry me and save me from this guy. Like, please save me. So eventually she sends this letter with a Brahmin to Krishna. Krishna gets the letter and he speeds over. And then right when it's getting close to this marriage center, Krishna just comes on his chariot. And it says that when Rukmini was walking out of the temple, because she was praying, you pray at this particular temple of Ambika, Durga. They would visit there. And anyways, so she was walking out and said she was so transcendently beautiful that the guys on their horses, they're all on their, like big, Kshatriyas on their horses, and they just saw her and they just fell off the horses. And then she was going to marry, who is it? Shishupal, yeah. So Krishna comes by and he just picks her up, puts her on the chariot, and he takes off. And then Shishupal's like, what just happened, And all the other, so then there's a big war, but eventually, so her desire was fulfilled. So it's a good lesson that we just hear about Krishna, that we could develop that Krishna, love for Krishna. And then also, Krishna, he's always wanting to fulfill the desires of the devotees for service. Rukmini wanted to serve Krishna this way, and Krishna said, okay, jump on my chariot, or board my chariot. So it's her appearance day today also. All right, does anybody have any questions or comments? Tyler's.
I was thinking that, thank you, Balarama, that was wonderful balance of honoring Jayananda and also the text today, starting our new chapter. So Prabhupada was writing those letters the year he's about to pass away too.
Yes.
What's great preaching? I mean, those letters are so selfless, and he's about to leave his body.
Yeah.
He's focused on other devotees.
Yeah.
In that situation. So I thought that was really profound.
Yeah, Prabhupada was really, inconceivably amazing. He was there and his body was deteriorating, and he wasn't taking any pain medication. And most people take pain medication. Even now, devotees, they take pain medication and whatever. In some ways you could say, all right, what's the big deal? They're taking pain medication. But to not take pain medication, that's... And then the doctor actually came in and said that any man would be like normal, like ordinary man would be writhing in pain and actually begging the doctor, please give me some morphine or some pain reliever. But when this doctor came in, Srila Prabhupada was there, and Prabhupada was asking the doctor, how are you? How are you doing? How is your family? Is everything okay? And please, we want you to have some prasadam. So, he was telling the devotees, please make sure he gets prasadam. And the doctor was just like, mine was just about to explode, like, how is this person? So also Prabhupada was dictating letters, 1977. Most people are like, all right, modern terminology, game's over, practically. I'm cutting off my correspondence. I'm not writing any more letters. But he was dictating letters in 1977 to devotees, still trying to encourage. And aside from that, Srila Prabhupada was also dictating the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was laying there, and he was recording the Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, it's amazing. Very clear, too. Also, just to be able to speak, I mean, he could hardly speak, but because the mind becomes normally, the mind may become disturbed, jumble up, you may not even be able to speak clearly. But Prabhupada was speaking very clearly. So, yeah, anyways.
Also about devotees being straightforward, I was trying to think about the culprit mind, and I remember I heard something a while ago about that mindset, was that if you're always telling the truth, you don't have to remember what you said. Right?
That's pretty good.
So we're straightforward in our dealings. You don't have to, who did I say to what, or what did they think, or what's this? You just speak the truth as you know it in your heart, and you don't have to, try to remember. Because that's, you're saying, if you say one thing, then you got to remember another thing, and then you got to remember another thing, and then eventually you're short legs. You cannot run that, so it's better just to speak your truth simply, and Jamuna Jivanan actually gave me that instruction. He says he does it at his work too, is if you have to give someone some heavy news, don't give them like a 5-minute whole setup. He says just use a couple sentences, say it simply, and just kind of let them be in it. So learning to be more straightforward and direct, but also like sweet and fair, and it's really good characteristics of a devotee.
We should always give people the benefit of the doubt, It's like, hey, maybe this person does have good intentions. But sometimes we may not have the best intentions, and then because they have that saying, you kind of like, what do you call it? You cast your, you project, right? Your state on others, and then because sometimes you hear devotees talk about this. Oh, you're just projecting. You see the fault's in you, but you're projecting it onto me. Right? Now someone say, is there truth to that? Yes, there is truth to that. Srila Prabhupada said, Atmavan Mandite Jagat, that there's a saying that a person thinks everyone else is like themselves, just like a thief. They're like, okay, gotta lock the door, gotta, make sure everything's okay, because, someone might steal around here. Well, because they're a thief, That's how they're thinking. I think everybody else also kind of has that tendency. So, we may not always have the best intentions, and there we project on people. Oh, yeah, you must be out to you must not be telling me the truth. You must be out to you're trying to take advantage of me somehow, or you're trying to, I kind of know what's going on with you. So we have to be careful about that, because maybe someone's is not like that. Like in terms of devotees asking me personally for advice and what I think about things, just ask me. I'm not gonna lie about it, and I'll tell you what I think. But you have to ask. Don't speculate. Yes.
In sociology, I can't remember the sociologist's name. It was Charles Horton Cooley. He had this philosophy called the looking glass self, and about that projection ideas. He said that's the way to actually get a gauge of who you are, and it's the reflection of others towards you. You can project onto someone, but it's actually their reaction to you. That's yourself. It's how others are actually perceiving and reacting to you. So we could have one image of who we are, but we should be looking at other people's experiences, engaging with us as an accurate reflection of how we're being perceived. So that's us. And I heard this other thing just yesterday called the yawn test. It actually tell if you're a sociopath or not. Where if you're in a room and you're yawning and no one else is yawning, they're not connected to you. Because most people, yawns are contagious. If you're yawning, people see that, oh, I'm going to yawn. But there's a thing, if you're a sociopath and you're kind of emotionally disconnected from everyone, you can be yawning your heart out in a room and no one's trying to engage with you, right? They're seeing your face and they see something weird about it and they're like, I don't even want to yawn. I don't know what that guy's got to offer. I was thinking about one other thing too, because they've given me the responsibility to help try to keep the temple clean. And, we have to engage people in doing that. And that's such a good idea. The cleaning of the temple is cleaning the heart, right? It's such almost like a great, it could be a sales pitch. what I've realized, it's like I can't ever lead with that. It comes across as kind of hokey if you're like, hey, you want to go do a stack of pots? It's really good for the heart. And so
people are like, what, you're saying I have a dirty heart or something? Like, what, are you being offensive?
That's the funny part too. Yeah. Oh, you should go do that, pal. You want to go do it together?
You're the one with the dirty arm, man. You go do it.
But you said something, well, because I checked in with you. I said, well, what am I going to do, man? There's all these people heading out. We have all these services we need covered. You said, get a nice group of pious people, that are in the mode of goodness, that are sincere. And so with them, they're great. You see them engage in the service so fervently with such good attitude that they just know it intuitively. It's almost hey, why cleaning the heart? I know, this is great. I'm doing this, right? This is solid.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a great concept, but I can't ever use it when I need to. And the people that actually are doing it, they already get it. They already know. You can feel it. Right?
Well, the thing is, sometimes people's hearts may be unclean to the degree that their unclean heart doesn't allow them to actually clean their heart, interesting enough. They need it the most, but they just, there's like a block there. So those people, they need to hear more. They need to associate with devotees more. They need more prasadam, And then their heart becomes a little more purified, and then they're like, yeah, I think I could do a little more, Or else they don't want to contribute. They're like, hey, what do you mean? I'm a good guy, or I'm a good person, and they don't feel a need, actually. Like if somebody's heart is just really not clean, then they don't even perceive that they have any problem whatsoever. They think they're like perfect, and like for example, we say to be selfish and greedy, and like the deadly sins, for example. They have that in Christianity. We say that's a problem, but for people whose heart is really unclean, they say, "What do you mean? That's just not a problem. I'm a human, That's what humans are. They're selfish and they're greedy and they're angry, and no need to clean." Wow. So for those people, why try to force them to do something that they just don't have the power within them to do? Better just to engage them according to what they can do. Like on book distribution, it's like, take a book, and they're like, no, I don't want to. No, take a book, and you like grab by the shirt or something, take his wallet out, take $20 out, throw the book at him, and the guy tries to fight you. You say, hey, you better keep on going, or else we're gonna have some altercation here. Like, in other words, you rip him off, for his money in a very harsh way. Don't do that. Just you get people who are interested, who are ready to make that step.
We get Sankirtan stories, but we get these quick anecdotes in the kitchen. Was that once we got this new hose months ago, and you could spray down the corners of the kitchen. And it was the one time Kanai stayed really late with me, and we were like spraying all the corners, and you could see him like in it. He was like, the heart. He's looking at me going, look, the heart. Like he was spraying off all the corners. And then also this Mataji's been cleaning for this last like 5 or 6 weeks, and she cleans after the Sunday program. And she's always like, I got 10 more minutes. And then 10 minutes go, 10 more minutes. No, I got to go. And she just keeps cleaning.
Which one?
Sistara, Sista,
okay.
Sista, the younger Nepalese, nice,
okay,
Sistara, and so I remember one time she was like leaving the kitchen after she stayed late doing that, and she looked at me and she was like kind of mystified, but like, the heart, this feels so good. She was like, she had felt it, and you could see her like she didn't expect it. And then this other guy who works at Qualcomm, he's on the computer all day, he's in that digital world, he stays late, Srivas, and he cleans well. And one time we were just sitting there and he looked at me, he's like, Prabhu, I feel like time stops when I'm in here and everything just goes away. Like, and these are the guys that'll stay late, like with the speaker Brajesh, we missed him the last couple of weeks, but he's doing the spice rack at 11:30 and you can't stop him,
Yeah.
So it's actually really magical when you see people without even thinking and kind of intuitively getting a taste for clean. It's true. Cleaning actually feels good, and it cleans in the heart.
And it's actually a huge difference. I remember I had to do some, I don't know why, but some community service. I don't think I did anything that bad, but I forgot what it was. But it was years ago, and I was just visiting the temple, starting to come to the temple, and I was doing community service at a auto mechanic shop. Oh, it was just like terrible. Like I was sweeping and these guys, fixing cars and stuff, and the conversations were not very, enlightening. And But I just felt so terrible actually cleaning there. I just felt bad, about it. And then I would come to the temple, and I remember the audio room was quite a mess. There's, stuff everywhere. And so some devotee said, you could clean the audio room. So I was like cleaning, and I was cleaning this and cleaning that. And I actually felt like elevated from it. It felt like a huge difference, night and day. So, all right. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All right, so now there'll be breakfast served here on the patio for whoever would like to join.